And hello to everybody out there. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Keith, and this, of course, is the Startup Sales Mastery video podcast hosted here on the Co-Founder Club page because Startup Sales Mastery finances the entire Co-Founder Club, which is the the community for entrepreneurs, to all come together, take over the world. And Startup Sales Mastery is where we basically help you early stage tech founders go get yourself some customers, because that's kind of what we know how to do. Again, I've been apologizing about this every day, but I am a little bit exhausted, as you may see. I'm having more coffees. I am heavy in campaigning myself this week, which is all well and good. But yes, this is Outbound, which KPIs Outbound, if you've seen up the top, it's actually the one thing that's really easy. I suspect this is going to be a short one because this is the easiest one for me to do. There's no real technology in play. If you know about Outbound, it is where we go out to get our customers, and of course, measuring the metrics, which is the key. And we want to measure the metrics to know, are we being effective? So there are four primary types of campaigns that I'm just going to go through, because this is really what we've got. We have the good old phone calls. We have visiting people, whether it's, residential, business, just turning up and saying hello, going to, big conventions or big events, places like that, and then using networks such as personal networks, industry networks, professional networks, chamber of commerce, that sort of thing. In all of those situations, you do want to measure those metrics, to see if your technique is falling through in some way, shape, or form, because we can change our pitch, we can change our intro, we can change our approach, but also is the demographic working. So, for example, when we're talking about, a cold call, or even a door-to-door campaign, is the city center area better, or are we actually getting better results in a more rural environment? May take longer to knock door to door, but I've done it before, and you'd be surprised at some of the differences. So again, knowing this information, comparing it against one or the other, can actually tell us what's working and what's not working. So let me go through this nice and fast. Metrics. I've gone through in campaign week all the different types of campaigns. I went through all of this. Go look at that if you're not following any of this. This episode is purely talking about the KPIs, key performance indicators, and the statistics in play. So if I was going to do a cold call campaign, what I would do is first I would make a list of people to call. I wouldn't really do it live on the spot. Now, there are people who do it live on the spot using tools like LinkedIn Navigator and Lucia would obviously be the easiest combination, where you just get a list and then one by one, get your Lucia calls. I tend to use other tools. I'm not going to give you the names of those tools. You need to ask me about them privately, because there's so many, and the different pricing and different things. It's a whole other episode. I'm not getting into it, but there are tools, mining tools, that you can basically just get huge lead lists, or you can get companies to do it, or you can call me. I have my lead gen people. They actually make really good lists, to be fair. I've got one in Paris, one here in Israel, one in New York. I've got Brazil. Now that I think about it, I have quite a lot of these guys. Anyway, we make our list of calls. Again, if you're going to do this productively, I recommend 1,000 calls is where you want to play games. And, daily, for example, the number of calls versus the number of people answered versus the number of conversations versus the number of quotes versus the number of deals that you actually made. I'm giving this example on print cartridges because one of the most popular cold call groups on Facebook is a guy called Charles, and he's at this every day. And this is what he sells. So these are just his typical average numbers. Per average, he's pulling about 150 calls a day, give or take 80 answers, with about 30 good conversations, 5 quotes he gives, and then 3 deals. Again, these are just average statistics. Your process may be different. This is the flow of his campaign. Maybe you don't give quotes. You just turn around and say, do you want this incredible discount or not? Because I got to get to the next person, whatever it is. Or maybe the conversion here, there has to be make second appointment. Doesn't matter what it is, what's going on with the lights. Whatever it is, each phase you want to account for. And ultimately, there's a few magical statistics that you're looking for, but to cut to the chase, the number of calls versus number of deals is 1. The reason why that's such a relevant statistic is long term, if you're going to do this yourself or you're going to actually hire a salesperson to do it, as I mentioned before in the first episode 2 days ago, and I recommend you watch that if you didn't cop it. The whole point of this exercise is that you know what KPIs you can achieve. And you are a CEO of a company. You're not a highly skilled professional salesperson. So surely if you gave everything a sales playbook, which you can get from startupsalesmastery.com, and evidence that you've pulled this off, you can now advertise OTO 35,000 shekels. Come work for me. Yes, these are the statistics that you want to hit. Here is 1,000 phone numbers. As you can see, on average, I'm closing 50 to 1. So I suspect with 1,000, you should be able to pull off, where is my math gone? 5 into 100, that's 20. So you should be able to get 20 by the end of the week. Sounds good. That gives you an OTO of, I was doing that in checks because I'm here. So in dollars, that's what, 9 grand. So that should be 9 grand. And you're a startup offering 9 grand wages. You'll get their attention and you have evidence of how we can get there. That's what I sort of mentioned. That's why this is such a good statistic. Now that's the statistics of what a good close should be and also a measure of your lead quality. But another statistic just on this frame that we want to look at is we want to look at answers to conversations. Okay. This is more for the salespeople, like me. This is something I'd look at. Maybe you don't need to worry too much about this, but this tells me right here, am I opening up well? One of the hardest things to do in like a phone situation is actually engage that conversation. I'm not going to go into a whole big sales lesson because it's not really what I do, but this part here is good. So, 30 into 8, that's a third, just over a third. It's what, like 35%, which is good for him. I mean, 35%, somebody answers the phone and you actually get that conversation going. That is good. Truthfully, I think anything over 10% is quite good, especially for untrained salespeople. But that's something that'll give you that information. And then if it's low, you know yourself that you got to work on this section or you're doing well. And again, conversations to quotes. This is now telling you, is the process compelling? And truthfully, this should damn near be 1 and 1, 1 and 2. We're above 1 and 2 here. This basically means, is your offer, is it all competitive? Because if they've gone to this point, and again, maybe you have, instead of quotes, a follow-up meeting, whatever it is, it's basically the exact same process door to door. When I wrote it up, I just thought I'd put it so that you can see. The only thing we're changing is the number of calls versus the number of knocks, and then answers, conversations, maybe quotes, maybe deals, whatever. I've given the example here of 100 to 2, and this is a very, very famous example. This is my example back when I was in my very early 20s selling telecoms, door to door. That's broadband for you people who think that broadband is this amazing thing that's always existed. No, it didn't. Back in the day, we used to have these big boxes, and that's how people logged on back in the early days. And I used to go door to door to households who were using dial-up and said, what are you using dial-up for? Here, let me give you a free trial of this after a week. If you don't want it, hand it back to me. And it was beautiful. So give or take 100 knocks to 2. I think on answers, it was something like 60, 50, 60. It was like 50%, because a lot of people, again, this is daytime, people work and all of that sort of stuff. So it was quite good, but still you can see that's a difficult number. So very simply, my quota was 10 per week. So all I actually had to do was make sure that I had at least 500 residential units per week that I was going to prospect. If I had that, well, 600, you always account a bit more. If I had that, the morning weekly meeting, somebody called on me, my manager, and said, how are you going to hit your 10 this week? I could stand up and say, well, I have this territory here. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit this on Wednesday at this time. I'm going to take a little break and go to the movies. I could lay out that plan. That was very clear. Convention. What do you know? It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Two ways to do conventions. Again, one is inbound, one is outbound. I'm focusing on outbound KPIs for this video podcast. So outbound is literally turning up or standing outside with your pen and paper. It's not getting a booth. Getting a booth technically is inbound because they are coming to you. Yes, you've gone to the convention center, but you've set it up in such a way that they're coming to you. Coffee is good. Okay. A good number to always get is what's the total number of people that actually go to the convention, because this will give you a statistic of your effectiveness and then how many you engage. So instead of answers, we're going to go straight to engaged. Now engaged and then conversation. So I could say, hey, how are you? Come here, have a chat with me, have a chat. No, we're okay. How about you? Look, I have the most amazing software. Yeah, what have you got? Boom, I'm starting a conversation. So that's engaged conversation. And then again, whatever my CTA, I don't want to scan. What's going on with my computer? You need to know. I think in that kind of an environment, you're either going to give a free trial or schedule an appointment. Some people just take emails. I think that's kind of stupid. I know one of the guys before that were doing GDP, or they're kind of legendary because they took this whole thing and they stood in front of loads of people and they said, yeah, everybody loved our product. We advertised. And I says, great. How many people did you sign up? Well, we were just promoting it. Oh, for the love of God, guys, give it away for free for a month. Do something. So again, survey campaigns. That was last week, the week before. I can't remember. Look up your survey campaigns. I go through in detail how to actually use survey campaigns as sales tools. Why not sell your product while you're doing it? Networking is a little bit different. It's a little different. So networking, I'm talking about Chamber of Commerce or, private industry professional groups. So these are closed groups. If you're in a closed group, you're no longer some public nuisance. You're part of a closed group, and now it's acceptable to walk up to people. Hello, fellow member. How are you? What do you do? My name is Keith. Oh, Keith, lovely to meet you. My name is Brian. I do this. Excellent, excellent. And who do you help, Brian? Oh, I help this. And who do you, it's really easy to spark a conversation. That's kind of what everybody does. So there's a few different ways that you could do this, but typically in these things, you're going to do it two ways. Again, you want to get the number of totals so that you can measure your effectiveness. But sales quality leads, I'm just going to break out that term. I'm not sure we have a term. You can call it the dream list. Basically, inside any organization, usually you go through the members and you make a list of the people that you really, really want to target. Okay, that's typically how it works. Yes, you turn up to events and say hi to random people, and you can follow this basic same principle of just walking up to people, saying hi, and seeing what happens. You're building relationships again because it's the closed network. So your call to action on this side may just be a coffee, and you only pitch them on the second or third coffee, something like that. But you'll always have some sort of a process. And if you don't have a process, then I don't know what to say to you. Your process could be giving something for free. Oh, look, you remember, I don't really want to sell to you. Let me give you my product for free for 1 month. If you really like it after that, we'll go for another coffee. We'll sit down and I'll try and come up with, a really amazing offer for you. But I'm not really here to make money. I'm here to make connections, relationships. Take it for free. That could be the pitch. Meetings, though, most of these organizations are run by, I don't know what you call them, administrators or, guys in charge, whatever they're called. And their job is basically to help connect you. So they should create introductions and set up meetings. And those introductions and meetings should result in demos. I'm obviously talking about the high ticket stuff here. I'm not talking about any of this small little stuff. If you're going through this process, you're selling high ticket, $5, $10, $50,000, $100,000 packages, you're going to have to go through the process of meetings with warm introductions and demos to the whole team and to the board. And as you can see from all of these things, it's all relatively simple as far as I'm concerned. Maybe you're looking at this going, yes, it's simple. You didn't know, you did know, I don't know. The top to the bottom is your primary critical factor, because that tells you what you need to do from start to finish in order to get customers. How many doors do you need to knock on to get a deal? How many people do you need to engage to get a deal? How many introductions? Do you need your guys in charge to get a deal? It's the same across the board. So that will also allow you to go and hire an amazing salesperson with an OTO that he can walk in on day one, and you turn around and go, look, this is what I did. This is my OTO. So I'm guessing you can do better. And mine was $9,000 a month. So if you can't do that, realistically, I need someone better. And it's all realistic. You're not just throwing random make-believe figures because it's provable. Again, things like answers conversations, intros meetings, this is going to tell you is, do people like you? Is the reality. Remember, people do business between people. I can give so many examples of that. Like it's just crazy. It's not the software. I know you think, oh, but my software is the best in the world. That actually doesn't matter as much as you think. People will buy substandard, not substandard, but less high quality software, if that's grammatically good to go, from people that they like. You can see examples of this all the time. It happens, especially in the tech world. Like, look at some of the technologies that we use. They're not the best tech out there. They're just great customer service, great supports, great customer success. That's why we do them. And of course, things like conversations to deals, meetings to deals. And that, of course, is, okay, are we closing? This is our closers, the AEs, the account executives, the guys that make the big bucks, the guys that I've worked alongside, that realistically, if you're making less than 10, you're not really employed very long. $10,000 a month, you should be making 15, 20. They make the big bucks, but they're kind of expected to, have this kind of a close rate. Like realistically, if you're dropping below 30, 35%, you get called in to basically say, what the fuck? You're really expected to be up there at around 60, 70% close rates, because you're being given sales qualified perfect leads that you should just be able to knock down. If BizDev has done their job. Okay, I believe that's it. I'm looking at this. I don't think I have anything more to go. The only thing just to mention, if it was an obvious, it will be expressed in standard ratio format. So the example here, well, I draw it here, there. What's your close rate? 1 in 50. Okay. There's no point in writing 2 in 100 because 1 in 50, you break it down. So everything, when you're expressing that, you do it in your standard ratio format. And if you don't know math, then you're shit out of luck for being an entrepreneur, quite frankly. Okay. A pleasure speaking to everyone. It actually took longer than I thought, because it's easy to talk about this stuff, but it's so much fun, because this is what I do every single day. I do one of these campaigns. I'm doing them all the goddamn time. It is wonderful. It's exciting. And if you are an early stage entrepreneur and you're doing really, really well, I'm making a fortune, well done. But if you're struggling in any way, shape, or form with sales, customers, lead generation, any of that, 2 things you can do. Number 1, you can click on the link above, startupsalesmastery.com, and you're going to get a video series that's going to show you exactly how to make a sales playbook, which is basically an instruction manual on how to sell your product. Go get that. If you need a little bit more oomph, then get in touch with me directly and let me and my team have a quick look at your operation. And if we can do something, we will take you on as a client and blast the ever-loving shit out of your software, because that's what we do. Good morning. Have a good day. Have fun on the phones. Have fun with your business. And for the love of God, go make some money. My name is Keith. This is the Startup Sales Mastery video podcast here, posting on Co-Founder Club and many other places. Good luck. And I will see you tomorrow for KPIs, measuring the metrics operations.